Hey, it's Lindsay, and today I'm going to show you the 3 best ways to roller skate backwards as a beginner. If you're doing our 30-day Learn to Roller Skate program, today is day 4, and here's your warm-up. So the first best way of skating backwards is bubbles. So this is the start of a bubble, is just doing it in place. So going forwards and backwards, and then we're going to use the backward part to do connected backward ones in a row. When you're doing these, you want to use your inner thighs and keep your knees bent. So you're going to keep your feet in a slight diagonal, like in a little V pointing in front of you, and you're going to push out, and then you're going to use your inner thighs to pull back in, and push out and pull back in. This is by far the easiest way to learn how to skate backwards because you're learning how to angle your skates in the correct way to create backwards motion. But it's also not the most practical because there aren't that many situations where you're really going to use this, but you need to learn it first so it can help you with the other 2. Okay, so let's practice. Let's do 10 going forwards and backwards. Make sure you're pointing your skates in the direction that you want to go. So little triangle at the front and then meeting your heels back together in a little triangle in the back. And you're going to keep making that bubble backwards and forwards 10 times. Now, once you've got that down, let's practice doing them in a row. So consecutively, so we're moving backwards. Remember to keep your knees bent. And you should also try to keep your chest up. I don't always do a really great job of that, so I'm still working on that. But definitely try to keep your knees bent because that helps you create power. Here's a slowed down overhead clip so you can see what my feet are doing. They're making a little V and then they're opening back up and creating that little V again. If you don't seem to be going anywhere, make sure that your feet are at a big enough angle because if they're too straight forward, then you won't be able to push outward to create any momentum. Remember to use your bent knees to create power and to make little V's with your feet. Little triangle in the front, little V in the back. And if you're having trouble with the middle part, switching from the little V to go to the triangle in the front again while you're connecting them, maybe try it on a smoother surface because a lot of the time the problem is the ground being too rocky and so your skates can't slide properly. Now that we've got the bubbles down, let's move on to the second best way of skating backwards. So this way is going to be little steps with your feet in a little pointy triangle in front of you, and you're going to be taking tiny steps to push diagonal to move you backwards. So to do this, let's put our feet into a little triangle in front of us, and then we're going to take the teeniest steps and push in a diagonal outward. So you'll start moving backwards, so remember to keep your knees bent and your chest up, and have your hands ready to catch you in case you start to fall. When you're doing this, you're shifting your body weight side to side and pushing out diagonally while your feet are in this duck-footed position. Let's go ahead and practice. So you're going to start with the setup. So you're going to set up in a position where your feet are pointing inwards toward each other, your knees are bent, and your weight is centered. Then you're going to lean over to one side to pick up the other foot and to push diagonally outwards. This will start moving your momentum backwards, so make sure to lean forward very slightly so you're ready to compensate for that backward momentum. If you need to, you can start by putting your hands on your knees, or you can keep them out in front of you or to the side ready to catch you. Make sure to keep your feet in that little V the whole time, or you'll end up like just walking in place, kind of like the running man move. Also, make sure to keep your butt like sunk back. Once you start to feel comfortable, you can start to look backwards while you do it, and you can also take bigger pushes and that'll move you backwards faster. The next way I'm going to call the alternate leg S. We're going to be putting one foot in front of the other, making a little S, and then putting the other foot in front of the other and making a little S with that, and alternating all the way back and creating momentum. This is by far my favorite way, and it definitely looks the coolest. So it all starts with the bubble that we learned earlier. So you're going to start with your feet in the little pointy V in front of you, and then you're going to push outwards like you would the bubble, but then you choose one foot to swerve in and out while the other foot glides behind. After that foot goes in and out, it moves to the back behind the other foot. Then you start the cycle over, but with the other foot in front this time. So here it is from a different angle. We're starting with the bubble, and then you pick one foot, make an S shape, and then move it behind. Then you're going to switch feet, make an S shape with that, and put that foot behind. Once you get more confident with this, it starts to get a lot easier and feel a lot smoother. And you kind of don't have to think about making the second bubble with the foot. You're just really focusing on doing the S in the front and then bringing it to the back. So you'll do S in the front, bring it to the back, S in the front, bring it to the back. Okay, now let's practice. So we're going to start out by making the little V in the front for the bubble, and then we're going to push the bubble open, so by pushing outwards and slightly diagonal to the front. Then you're going to weave one foot into an S shape and put it behind. Then weave the other foot into an S shape and put that behind the other one. If you want to, you can practice by just doing one foot at a time. This is not only like super fun, but it's also like just a cool thing to be able to do, and it's also good practice for learning how to do the alternating one. I am like way better at doing my right foot as the S foot and the other one just hanging out there. So I definitely recommend practicing both sides, because now I need to work on like doing my left foot a lot more. So just from this beginning, just make sure you're practicing both sides so you don't become uneven. Now let's take a look at the S shape in slow motion. So this occurs after you've created momentum with the bubble. Your feet are both pointing out in this staggered diagonal shape. Then you're going to move the front foot into an in and out, and then back behind the other foot, and then alternate. So in, out, back, behind. Here's the backwards view, starting with the bubble, then I'm moving that front foot in, out, and back behind. Okay, so that was all three. Make sure to practice, 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 and keep your knees bent and wear safety equipment. If you haven't yet, make sure to start from day one of my 30-day Learn to Roller Skate program, so you can learn to skate in 30 days in the fastest, most efficient way possible and become the best skater you can be. Here's your workout for the 30-day program. Today is upper body, and we're going to be working on core. So it's 40 seconds of work, 20 seconds of rest, and you're doing it for 2 rounds. So lots of moves to keep it interesting. And this will help a lot with roller skating because your core stability matters. And don't wear roller skates with this one, because it'll make everything really, really hard because they're really heavy. Also, if you roller skated along with me today, make sure to tag me on Instagram so I can repost your story.